Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Tracked Before. This time, The Way of the Warrior. Yeah, this one, we did it in person. This is a jam-packed episode. I'm glad you're here. You're going to want to stick with it. You're going to have a good time. DS9, Way of the Warrior. Become one of our warriors. Patreon.com/IABD. Get all the bonus material from everybody, from the mothership on down to It's All Been Tracked Before. Get our special episodes. And we'll love you. You'll love us even more. It's the way of the warrior. This is the way of the warrior. It's all been tracked before. DS9.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Tracked Before. Your regular hosts are here.
This is Steven.
And here's how you can find us. You have to follow these coordinates.
That's Keith. Olivia James. And we are joined once again by a very special guest.
Shaun.
Hey.
So special.
Special guest star, like Andrew Robinson says, Garrick. We always get excited when Shaun shows up.
That's what USS stands for in the shirt.
What does USS stand for?
You're so special. Like,
That's funny. We're here to talk.
Or you or Shaun Swing, whatever. No, sorry, go ahead.
You're Shaun. We're here to talk about the seminal episode, The Way of the Warrior. First impressions.
I think there were many other ways it could have gone. I mean, there's so many things that were telegraphed about this episode, but just I've gotten so much better at putting these things out of my head that my first note was, I can't believe how quickly I forgot it was going to be a Klingon episode.
With a title like The Way of the Warrior, how would you have guessed?
Well, and just put up, the cup, everything else, everything about it. But I just was following like, oh, yeah, this is just another day on Deep Space Nine. What's going to happen? And just, there's a ship showing up. Who is it?
Okay.
Yeah, actually, my first impression was I knew it was a Klingon episode, for lack of a better term, a Klingon episode. And I feared that it was really going to be a Klingon episode, which usually I don't care for.
I thought you liked them. I thought that from Next Generation you.
I like them more than I used, but there's still a lot of them I don't like. I mean, a lot of episodes I don't like, and a lot of Klingons I don't like. But because for a while I was concerned, this is just gonna be Worf and the Klingons and not our friends at DS9. So fortunately, you got away from that. Yeah, I like the way that it went. It was a good episode. A lot to discuss. A lot to get into. A lot happened. And extra packed. That's why they had to make it 90 minutes. That's why.
Yeah, it was a full 2 hours with commercials, and that was always the intention. It was never. I mean, in reruns, of course, they had to split in half.
Yeah.
Which the very clear, that's definitely the end of part one, actually is slightly before half of the running time, so I guess they'd put more commercials in the first
when
time.
it aired
as a 2 hour. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
okay.
I'm trying to think, other than the pilots of Next Gen, DS9, and Voyager, I'm not sure Star Trek ever did any other 2 hour episodes or series finales of all three of those shows as well, or 2 hours. But is there any Star Trek show that's not a series premiere finale that's ever been 2 hours long? I don't think so.
There's a couple in Voyager. There's Dark Frontier, and there's...
But weren't those always part one and part two? Like, they may have aired them on that night, but weren't they always, split as part one and part two?
So there is a third example from Voyager that is a back-to-back two-parter like that, which was The Killing Game.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I
But
remember
two of them were aired as complete 2 hour blocks, and then one was aired just as part one and part two back-to-back.
Okay.
You mean syndication, or okay? I see what you're saying.
On Premiere.
I see.
Yeah.
It's a very rare thing to do.
This was a first.
This was. Voyagers come later. And
Voyager was on network, but DS9 was still syndicated, right?
Yes.
So I guess that's a good way to sell it. It's like, hey, it's so special. We're gonna have 2 hours and season premiere.
We joked about it, but Worf was brought in to help with flagging ratings because DS9 was never as high rated as Next Gen or Voyager, and it did help somewhat. DS9 never soared in the ratings, but this was a stunt in a way. But leave it to the writers, and I will say this was Aces in Their Places. It was written by Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf, the people in charge wrote this, and directed by James Conway, who I believe is one of their regular directors, and it just. It was a triumph, I think. They may have given them the assignment of you have to accept Worf for ratings, and it has to be a big thing, but to take it and run with it the way they did, they just killed it.
I remember there was a buzz on the street that Worf was gonna. No, I'm kidding.
You didn't? Huh.
There was no.
You couldn't go anywhere without people saying, "Hey,
What are you doing this Saturday?
Yeah. So Conway isn't super regular, but he's directed a couple episodes before this. So yeah, and we had so many wonderful returning people. I do think the opening credits spoiled too much. Not just the theme song where we got Worf, but if you were watching the guest stars, who were scrolling by, Robert O'Reilly was mentioned.
Yeah.
Ducat obviously was in there.
Yep.
Special guest star Garrick, that's less spoilery. At this point, Garrick's going to be in the show as much as he's not in the show. Like, he's in the show all the time. But, yeah, it's
a very long cold open, too, which makes sense since we're
was.
sticking around longer. For a while, I'm like, I thought we were going to hear the new theme song. I was like, is this going to happen? And it did.
Well, before we
Or
get
not
into the new theme song, did we get Shaun's first impression of this episode?
I
No,
don't
we
think
did not.
oh well, yeah, I love this one. That's why I kind of handpicked this one to appear on. But you know, even if it hadn't been such a good episode in its own right, it's definitely seminal for the journey that the series itself takes. Because obviously, you have a huge change in structure with a new cast member, particularly one that came from another series. And for a show that's already got so many balls in there, you know, your Bajorans, your Cardassians, now the Dominion, and now we're going to throw the Klingons on top of it. They were really given a tall order on a production level to make this all cohere. But like you said, they knock it out of the park.
Well, and I love that the Klingons are... When I think of Deep Space Nine, the Klingons are always part of the fabric. And it's because the war. But also there's a number of things in this that we just saw 5 years ago on screen. Not even 5 years ago on screen. Star Trek VI, where the Khitomer Accords were signed. And then they are shredded in this. Like, they are done by the treaty between the Klingons and the Federation's over. Whether they can work together after this, we're going to have to remain to be seen. They certainly did not reverse that decision in this episode. The end of this episode was, no, these Accords are shredded. We're no longer allies.
That doesn't seem honorable to me.
Yeah. Also, didn't Worf just, and this isn't even, like, yes, that was like 4 or 5 years ago in real life. Khitomer was signed of viewing, but it was like 75, 80 years ago in the Star Trek history. But in terms of, like, actual timeline, Worf just got his family's honor back like 4 years ago, and now it's gone too.
What a roller
I
coaster.
feel really bad for Kern, his brother, sitting on the council that's now been stripped of his lands and seat and title.
I did have while we're talking about honor, I did have a note that, I was worried we weren't going to talk about honor at all in this episode. And then my one of my alternate episodes is just the whole episode is all anyone can say is honor, honorable, or dishonorable, or dishonor. So it's like the remixes of somebody, 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 somebody. There's a million variations of that, and that's one of my alternate episodes.
I've got like 4 of them as well. Yeah. I do want to tease a couple things without going specific at all because Steven hasn't seen it, and having talked to Keith before we watched, he has very little memory of this era. There are a few things of importance. One is they talk about if the Dominion was trying to screw up the relationship between the Federation and the Klingons, or if the Dominion was trying to take over Cassia, nothing would be different than the way it plays out here. And we never get any confirmation in this episode that the Dominion has a hand in this. We will eventually get confirmation the Dominion had a hand in the events of this episode. And not that there's a flashback or anything, but like, we have to know, I think we already know from last year's finale that the Dominion's like 8 steps ahead of everybody else because they just sat there and watched and planned. And by saying like we've got changelings everywhere, that is true. Like they have changelings in places we haven't seen yet. By saying like that the Dominion is influencing and trying to destabilize the Alpha Quadrant, that is absolutely at play here. And even the thing about the blood test, where we had blood tests in this episode of let's just cut ourselves. Do you really think the changelings can't get around the blood test?
That's what I jokingly said. It's like, why? Yeah.
In the same episode, you have Odo drinking his liquid self as an illusion.
Right.
You know they can pull off liquid.
Well, I if you're curious about the logistics, I think it's like a passing thing later in the series. They're like, all we have to do is like put some blood in our body and hold it in a pouch, and when they go to take the blood, you just let it out.
That's
Like,
how I
just
would do it if I
maneuver
had
it to the right spot. So even blood tests, when we see characters do blood tests, we cannot take for granted that those actually were true.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a better way than the way that Klingons did it. But
well, the knife slashing.
yeah.
Well, we see Bashir do it by like doing a hypospray. But either way, they can defeat with just moving a pool of blood around.
So does he need to eat or drink at all?
No.
Or all right. Interesting. I mean, wondering how they're consuming energy or whatever. It's just
Great question. I don't think Star Trek ever gets into that.
Yet.
That's true. They're still making new Star Trek. They've explained the Klingon forehead ridges. It's only a matter of time till they explain everything else.
Interesting.
So
and I don't know if I mentioned it, but the name of the troop was the Jackass Twins. So that's what we did.
and we
I think it's come up before, but I don't remember.
Was this before?
Actually,
or
let's
after
just go to
Jackass?
Patreon. I don't beat Patreon.
I think after it started. So yeah, this
It
is
almost have to have been.
2011. I think we did a couple appearances. This is one of the few times I got nervous doing improv. Yeah.
So if we jump back to the very, very beginning, we were faked out with this drill. And I remember that opening very vividly as well at the first time I saw this. And I'm pretty sure I watched this episode when it aired, even though I wasn't a regular viewer. Just that whole thing of them, like, going over the station with their phaser rifles and scanning things and stuff. It just adds a layer of seriousness to what's happening.
I kept
It adds a layer of
thinking,
fear.
was this the end of the last season? Are they just re-showing it? And then as it went on,
Right.
you know, yeah.
No, but I think it's very effective. They did a lot in the cold open of reminding us and resetting, or telling for the first time if there are new people tuning in just to see Worf of this is what's going on, here we are.
Yeah.
And that opening was great to serve to reinforce what's happening. It also was an exciting action opening because you want an exciting action opening to draw people in. This was a post-Super Bowl episode. No, it wasn't, but it could have been. There were several things in the opening that I took notice of. One is Sisko's got a new haircut, meaning his hair's gone.
Yeah.
Kira's got a new haircut, which looked great.
Yeah.
Dax has been promoted, which I did not catch till about halfway through the episode when Sisko called her commander at the pilot. She is now lieutenant commander. She's no longer a lieutenant, which I feel like is kind of important for an upcoming plot point. But I Googled to make sure this is the first time we see Dax is promoted. So that's exciting. And then Quark is not at all changed. He is still the same scammer. When he asked Odo, when he said to Odo, like, next time, just tell me how long it's going to take him to find you and we can both make a lot of money. Nobody took that as a serious offer, right? I mean, I guess if Odo had said, okay, it would have become a serious offer, but you knew that was just Quark needling Odo, right?
Yeah,
Especially in front of everybody. Yeah. And like, let me know if you change your mind. There was no expectation.
Just immediately.
Yeah.
Speaking of needling, I liked it when the chief, when Odo's like going through all the different things that a changeling could be, instead of just saying they could be anything, he's like, it could be this or this or this, and Chief's like, yeah, we know, we get it. All right, already.
And it's Chekhov's changeling because in the series finale he appears as all of those things. No, I'm kidding. But yeah,
That would have been great, actually. Sorry.
I also, and again, I'm jumping ahead, but later when they're talking about the battle's going to happen or whatever, and I think it's Worf and Odo, and in my mind, because they're like, well, you know, blah, 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 changing this, changing that, and I'm just like, I wanted Odo to be like, oh, I'm just going to be a wall painting during the entire attack. I'm not getting into this. Oh, yeah, because they were like, oh, hey, they might be looking for a changeling to kill, and it's like, they ain't going to find me. I could be a door, or this, or that. We get it.
that's why he's like, just like strafe everything with your phaser rifle. But then you have to think, how did the phaser rifle work? Could everything stand up to that kind of energy? If you've got some antiques in your quarters, that could destroy him. Also, 3.5 hours doesn't seem that bad to find him in a station as big as it is with a crew complement as small as it is, even though it definitely seems like they beefed up their crew complement.
Yeah, it seems like a lot more people.
It occurred to me just now as you were saying that's another one of those expository things they're probably doing for
the people who were just tuning in the first. Yep.
Oh, so this is what a changeling can do.
Oh, absolutely.
And then again, O'Brien was speaking for the returning fans. Like, we get it already.
Yeah. So then we have Kassidy Yates returns.
Yeah.
Kira apparently already likes her a lot because she was so excited that Kassidy was coming back. And I wondered if that was because she likes Kassidy or she's like, Kassidy distracts Sisko and then I get to be in charge of the station.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But I thought you meant that she likes Kassidy.
Oh, I was not thinking that way. Kira's...
I wasn't either. Now I am.
Yeah.
That's your new alternate episode.
Put it down.
So there's the present exchange with the baseball cap and the invite to whatever, and then she got fully in silk, which, you know, it's the nicer gift, but who cares because it's all about the baseball. The baseball cap's great. Also reminding us all, new viewers, that Sisko loves baseball.
That's right.
And then he's got this girlfriend who shows up even when they split it. They managed to work her into both parts so she could get paid for both hours, which, like, Gowron and Ducat and stuff are only in one part, right? I don't know about Ducat, but Gowron's definitely only in the second half. And to skip a little bit to the end where Kassidy's like, who knows when we'll see each other again. She will be back in episode 4 of the season. She will. I've mentioned she's in a bunch of episodes, but a full half of them are in the final season.
Wow.
So this is the season she'll be most present in, other than the final season, because she's in 3 episodes this season, where she's only in 1 last season, 1 in the next season, and then 2 in season 6. But she's in
I want to skip ahead to
8
a note
of the final season.
Sorry, to a note I have about that.
Yeah?
There's something about the way that she was doing it. I don't know if it was an acting choice or just whatever, but it felt like sometimes a little bit too over the top seductive, and then I feel like we're supposed to feel suspicious about what she's asking. Because
Oh my god, there are certain line reads of hers in this episode where I'm like, did they tell you to make the audience wonder if you're a changeling? Because she's being so awkward in her phrasing.
Right, yes.
When she's like, everyone is fine.
Well,
I think that is just like flirty talk of like, I know you're worried about me, but you're asking if everyone's fine. That's what I took that as. He can't just say I'm worried about you because I'm in love with you.
Right.
I just thought it was super awkward, particularly given that he just saved her from being checked by the Klingons for if she's a changeling or not. And she's talking like that. It just seemed like they were planting a seed. And given what unfolds in the rest of the episode, it seems totally unintended, but it strikes me as a very awkward line read under the circumstances.
Well, it was just, especially in the quarters and later on when she encountered him, the way that she was asking the questions felt like she was pumping him for information.
Yeah, that's
like you can't tell me anything about them and just
maybe that was intentional, or maybe she was doing it intentionally too, playing it up in the hopes that she could get more episodes on the show.
Well, I will say that's a nice, interesting thread that carries on with Kassidy throughout the series. Is she's not Federation, and she does kind of pump Cisco for the inside info so that she can thrive in her freighting business too.
True.
Right.
I thought it was also just like, let's get it on kind of talk too.
Well, I was also going to say that it could have been another expository thing too, like here's a reason for the audience to know this information that she's asking. But
it does seem like they're super serious in this episode, and even though it feels like they've been together a while, to me it already feels like they've been together a while. This is only the second episode she's been in. I know she's been mentioned in other episodes.
Oh my god, yeah.
She's been mentioned in most of the episodes she's not in so far, but this is only her second episode.
I mean,
interesting.
All of their scenes just felt like foreplay, and we finally got the kiss at the end that we hadn't had before. I also like the line there. I think he says it to her, don't get killed. Or does she?
No, she says it to him.
Yeah. So
I do like that he said, "I'll try my best" instead of like never or something like false.
Yeah.
So we're still before the theme song in my notes anyway. Dax once again comes in with the rooster block. Like, she blocked Bashir from hooking up with the girl last season. Now she's blocking Cisco and Cassie from getting on. I feel like Dax's role sometimes is just to get in the way of romance.
Not necessarily. She's really facilitating with Kira and the holograms.
She is, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Maybe she is a big proponent of stop having relationships, just get it on the holodeck.
That actually brings me to one of my other notes that I showed Shaun during the recording, which was for the tragic comic value of Kira's, her background, just the way they played that. I put peak childhood, imagining survival.
Oh,
yeah, just that kind of.
It reminded me of, I don't know if you guys remember Tasha Yar. Remember her?
Yes.
No.
So what?
Her growing
Very similar backstory.
That Russian intelligence agency?
Yeah,
Tasha
that's it,
Very similar.
But I did think of that scene, and I don't know, maybe we're after the music now, but
No.
Kira was such a buzzkill. Like, without
the holodeck stuff?
and
I thought the opposite. Yes, she did shut down the scenario and didn't participate.
Yeah.
But Kira, even 1 year ago, would not even have gone into the holodeck and put on the clothes.
I guess that's
I thought that showed growth in her character.
Although,
But she's still a
wear a hat
buzzkill,
like that.
though, in
well,
other
that's true.
circumstances.
I always thought she was, and I'm talking about in their first, the massage section, like, in my mind, Kira's always horny.
There's no.
She's always getting it
But
on.
only for real.
Maybe in the mirror universe.
Only for real stuff.
It felt slightly out of character the way they were playing it about. Like it felt like a step backward for the purpose of the something.
I don't know it was backwards because she would have never done this before. But the second scene where she was in the princess costume or the Queen Guinevere costume, obviously, felt a lot more authentically Kira than the baths scene. The fact that she punched out Lancelot because she was playing a married woman. woman.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
way more sense to me.
I thought so too.
Genuine laugh from him on that. That was a great bit.
I still, and
that sticks heavily in my brain.
and what's his name's been dead a while.
Barile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I figured
King Arthur.
she'd be really horned up, and we're just like, let's do it.
Well, see, she had Shakar. Remember?
Yeah, well, see, that's what I'm saying. She's a very, for lack of a better term, a horny person to me. So I was surprised she wasn't.
No,
like,
I'm gonna have to say if I were in a holodeck with another person, that would
That
really make me
changes the
self-conscious
dynamic.
about like, the idea
That's
of
a
like
good point.
Whereas Dax is like, I'm not 100 years old. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. I would want my own holodeck experience. Also, I thought the Masashine passed the Bechdel test, right? They weren't just
They
talking
weren't
about
actually men.
They were talking about getting it on with holographic men.
But then did they talk about other stuff?
Well, the
Yes,
childhood and
but-
so forth.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Was this also the first Star Trek episode to ever feature two black actors having substance conversations over and over again? I know one of them's like playing a Klingon, but Sisko and Worf, like, it
Oh,
struck me.
right.
Jordy.
Did they ever have a substantive conversation of note?
Who?
Worf and Geordi? Because this
Probably not. I mean-
Sisko was the lead in this episode for the first half, and then as soon as for the first half of the first 25 minutes, as soon as Worf comes on screen, he takes over as lead for the next 25 minutes. And then the second half of the episode, they share the leadership. If you look at who's getting the screen time and the character development, this is a Sisko and Worf two-parter. And they have several conversations between them that are substantive. And I'm like, have Star Trek ever had two black actors share the screen before
How
and have
about-
that much plot?
Probably.
How about when Guinan introduces Worf to prune juice?
Did she actually do that? I didn't realize it was a
but-
holodeck.
Warrior's drink.
I wouldn't call that as substantive, although I guess it does have implications for the character in the franchise.
The way of the warrior. I thought of my other Kira note, just Shaun brought up the mirror universe, because I thought her bathing suit was very modest as well. It's like, oh, I was like, why isn't she? Oh, I'm thinking mirror Kira. So mirror Kira would be wearing next to nothing.
So a note I had
Or
on
nothing.
Dax's bathing suit is I noticed it had a lot of colors going on, of course, but the two shoulder straps, one was green and one was pink. And at this point, as we're recording this, we're only a month away from the premiere of Wicked Part 2, Wicked for Good.
Oh, wow.
And the green and the pink I've been seeing together a lot. And I was like, she's got a Wicked bathing suit. That's okay. The last note I have for before the theme song is Martok shows up. The great J.G. Hertzler. This is his second appearance on Deep Space Nine. In the very first episode, he played the Vulcan captain of the Saratoga in the flashback scene where Sisko's wife died. He was Sisko's captain.
Oh, yeah.
He also was in an episode of Seinfeld, which I think we mentioned before.
Probably.
I think we went over his whole resume prior to this. I mentioned to you in person earlier that like this was intended to be a one-episode role. They brought J.G. Hertzler in for one-off, and it will be a whole year before we see him again, not till season 5. But he's in the final 3 seasons of the show quite a bit, and so he, to me, is one of, when I think of Deep Space Nine's reoccurring, while we've met most of the major reoccurring characters at this point, there's still 1 or 2 we haven't met that are major reoccurring characters. Maybe 3 or 4, now that I think about it. But he's on my mind, one of the last big reoccurring characters we need to introduce. So Martok will definitely be a going concern, and he will look different in most of his appearances. So it's still J.G. Hertzler, but there's going to be a significant physical change for most of his appearances. And I was like, oh, I forgot that hasn't happened yet, and he looks a little different here. You know what I'm talking about, Shaun.
Yes, sir.
Interesting.
If they release the action figure, and I assume they will, it will look different than he did today.
Interesting.
But you'll see why. Still J.G. Hertzler.
There, but we'll see.
You don't remember? Of course
funny,
you don't remember.
yeah.
We just talked about this.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far I even got after this. Really, I know some of the beats that are going to happen, but as far as the details, well,
it's not just the details. The conversation we had with you before Steven showed up about a particular character.
Don't say it. I'm going to figure it out. I'm figuring it out now.
You know what we're talking about. I'm not going to go any further than saying you know what we're talking about, but you were hugely off on some things.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, how can you misremember that?
There's one thing where I realized the flip that has.
Okay.
I remember the conversation. I was like, oh, wait a minute. There was the other way around.
Yes.
But anyway,
That's what I meant.
the bit the bit with just kind of jokingly with the blood test I had down there. Just because they're not changelings doesn't mean they're not imposters. It's sort of like, well, you passed the test. You're not a changeling, so you must be who you say you are. But yeah, anyway.
Well, the Tal Shiar and the Obsidian Order are gone, and the Klingons don't have a similar secret service as far as we know about, so a lot of the machinations left in the series will have to just be Garrick because everybody else that's super secretive is kind of no longer. The changelings are also kind of secretive. But
And it makes sense thematically, too, because, espionage is kind of inherently like a treacherous sort of thing. Whereas Klingons, they would never do anything that isn't honorable. Of course. I don't know if you noticed that.
First of all, not true. Second of all, just in this episode, the thing about Worf's like, yeah, there's definitely Klingon ships just cloaked waiting for you to try to help them, and then they're going to kill you, because in war, it's all honorable as long as you win.
Yeah, that's the way you do it.
That is the way of the warrior.
Yes.
This might be my last pre-music note. Klingons on a space station. This should go well. Because it never really does.
I was craving the chaos that the Klingons add to the proceedings. It certainly keeps things interesting.
Can a Klingon go into a bar and not get in a fight?
Sure.
I mean, is that dishonorable?
Dude, you can't say that on a podcast.
Oh, wow.
Problematic.
I think we're going to get a lot of scenes of Worf going into Quarks and not causing a fight in the next 4 seasons. So we get to the theme song. If we had not just rewatched the old theme song before starting this, I would not have noticed as much. Yes, there's a lot more things going on. You can tell they're moving into the CGI era where they're going to add more to the... Not that the CGI is great, but there's definitely computer-generated images in the theme song now that were not there before, and that's allowed them to add more action into it. We muse that Lower Decks subsequently, like each season adding more to it, might be some tribute to this that we haven't talked about before this, but now there's like cargo vessels, there's the runabout's a lot more active, we get the Defiant, we get another starship docked, and I do think that when they showed up at Deep Space Nine, it was a mostly abandoned station with a minimal crew, not much going on. And from here on out, obviously, Deep Space Nine is now a very busy hub. So it felt very appropriate to update it the way they did. In fact, it would have been great if they added like some Klingon and Cardassian ships in there as well. Maybe a Jemadar flying through the wormhole or something. But
Maybe next season. But
no, I wish.
Yeah,
But they don't update it again. It is what it is. Other than a cast member change, that's just what it is for the end of the series.
Well, the Lower Decks thing I always remember, of course, is just when they're visiting Deep Space Nine. It's just, let's just circle it, keep circling. That's just like for the first 3 seasons. We're just looking at this space station doing nothing. Just let's keep flying around it.
That to me was also a tribute to the original Enterprise and the motion picture and
Best scene ever.
right, especially the extended edition where you just spend like 10 full minutes just looking at the Enterprise.
The starship porn. Yeah.
Yes. I did notice, so there was some verbal reaction among us when Worf's name appears in the theme song, starring Michael Dorn's Worf. It really sucks that theme songs were so expensive to change back then that you could not make adjustments, even by leaving one person out.
What? That doesn't make any...
It cost them a lot of money every time they re-rendered the theme song, so they didn't make changes unless
just
they
text?
had to. Yeah. Every change was a problem. So... But I also was paying attention to the guest stars, and the guest star list starts with Penny Johnson as Kassidy Yates, and then it's just a bunch of actor names without the character, and then it ends with special guest star Andrew Robinson as Garrick, and I was like, Cassidy and Garrick get top billing, which is appropriate. I mean, I love Gowron, I love Dukat, I do think Dukat maybe deserved special at this point as well, but Gowron and Martok, not yet earned that. Gowron, we're not to him yet, but Robert O'Reilly, I think we mentioned this before on the episode, that he was in 5 episodes of Next Gen, but will be in 8 episodes of Deep Space Nine. He already was in 1, House of Quark, last season. So this is, he's pretty spread out over the next few of his appearances, but that's why I think of him as much a Deep Space Nine character as Next Gen, because he was in Deep Space Nine even more than he was in Next Gen. And I know Steven got really excited when Gowron showed up.
That guy, he's just great.
Those eyes. Those eyes!
It's a cartoon character, but he's a fun Klingon. Like, I enjoy... Right. He's a Klingon when I see him. I'm like, all right, it's time for fun.
Did you get some more vibes from Martok in this episode? Like, did he impress you as somebody you want to see some more of?
No.
No?
Oh, all right, so...
He did his fair share of yelling, but okay.
Well, that was the other thing. I imagine, is there ever a time, other than Worf, where Klingons aren't yelling? Because I mean, Korg references it. It's like, why is it so quiet right now? They got to be up to something. And of course, he was right. So, listen to your bartender. They know what's going on.
Obvious.
Also, I think this is my only other special episode. Maybe I have 2 other. One more. Is that Gowron thinks the whole time that he's in a VHS game. So he thinks he's talking to people playing a game.
Okay.
So all he's yelling at the Deep Space Nine and all those guys, he just thinks this is a game, right? We're filming a VHS game for viewers for people to play.
I'm still upset that they didn't let him play Gowron in that game.
I know that was.
Oh wait, you're the Martok.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It's a much more balanced performance, and it felt useful and kind of like this is what I would want someone to kind of,
I will say Martok in this episode was not as likable as he will be later on.
Right.
But I felt like the spine of who Martok is, and I got that J.G. Hertzler's performance was, I'd like to see this guy again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's already terrific here, but knowing where this is all going, it's just another blue chip addition to the already lengthy list of incredible guest stars on this show. It's just such a rich tapestry of personalities.
Do you mean episode or just franchise? Like
this particular series.
Because there's
franchise, sure, but
Well,
DS9 in particular is really dense with a lot of awesome characters.
30
that recur.
reoccurring characters outside the main cast. I am pretty confident in saying to Steven that while you may not be excited to see Martok the second time, you will get to the point where when Martok shows up, you're going to be like, yes!
Okay.
I want Martok in this episode!
All right.
You will raise your glass of blood wine in a cheer.
Not in the same way you do for Dukat and Gowron, but
Yeah.
But yes. Anyway, lots of reasons for that. We'll get into them down the road. I don't want to give anything away, but oof. So Odo drinking awkwardly. Why was there a pouring sound when he refilled the glass? Because it wasn't pouring in from the top, and there was no reason for the noise.
where was it coming from then?
That's what I'm asking. Why was there a pouring sound when his coffee filled back up? Does anyone know? Or was the Foley artist just like, I need to do a little extra work today?
Yeah, that's a good question.
He also was drinking very awkwardly when he was like, this lets me appear natural.
Yeah.
To drink. Let me
Yeah.
hold my arms stiffly and way too high.
Maybe it's also a convenient way for a changeling to conceal a fart.
That
That's
could
not where I thought
be.
you were going with that.
That's
I
what
thought
his
it was
fart sounds like is pouring.
No, he's got like a straw coming out of his sleeve. He's doing that with, and so.
So then we get the scene where Garrick and Odo confront the Klingons. In the book, the novelization, The Way of the Warrior by Diane Carey, one of our favorites, one of the best track authors. There's not a ton of differences between this and the episode. There's a bunch of scenes in the last 20 minutes that aren't even in the book, which I thought was interesting, that the show had a bunch of... They must have made some changes to the script at the last minute, because I'm sure they gave her the script like a month or two before they filmed, which happens a lot, so she didn't get the final.
So you can get that baby on shelves while it's airing.
I will say it is divided into 4 parts. The first part lasts like 120 pages, which is almost half of this novel, and so I was like, oh, is that the first half of the episode? But no, there are 4 parts. The other parts are just shorter, and I'm not really sure why it's divided into 4 parts. Don't ask me. But there is extra Garrick stuff with the Klingons before the confrontation that I think was very interesting, in that they came into his shop before he had the breakfast with Odo, and they were harassing him, and he knew in his head, like, oh, they're trying to get information out of me. He did not reveal that he spoke Klingon in that scene. So later, they reveal some of their plans in front of him, talking in Klingon.
Oh.
And so he knows what they're going to come for. And so then when he defends Odo, revealing that he speaks Klingon, it's way more insulting to them because they've already talked in front of his face in Klingon, thinking they were being secretive. And also that gives him agency in the book to set up of, oh, they want the schematics of the station. I don't know if you even got that from what was on screen. That's what they got from him when they beat him up, was the schematics of the station, which convinced them that Deep Space Nine had not been upgraded. So they felt confident. That's why Gowron and Martok were like, you're toothless, it's just a roar. In the book, Garrick, first of all, overhears them, then makes plans to bait them into coming back and beating him up. And
That's
sets
amazing.
up false plans to be caught, because he is loyal to the station and the people that have protected him, and he knows that things are going to go down much better later if he lets them come and beat the crap out of him so they can steal fake plans of the station and have misinformation about what's happening. And also he knows, like, yes, I'm going to beat the crap out of, and it's going to hurt like hell, but it's worth it. And I like that agency in the decision, which I kind of feel is hinted in the scene where he's with Bashir and he's like, no, I'm not pressing charges. You know, I got the biting remarks, and I feel like those scenes in the book really inform that and help that be more cohesive.
That is much better, actually.
Yeah.
It's also
Maybe deleted scenes.
his one of his kinks is being beat up. So that's the
I
other
think
reason
so.
he was okay with that.
But the doctor was very concerned, as you would be with a lover that gets injured.
I had a couple things about that. Sorry,
Yeah. Me too.
Oh, well,
No, go.
We'll zipper merge.
You go, then I go.
I like
You go, then I go.
the 3D punch. I was like, is this episode in 3D? They punch Garrick.
The camera, yeah.
It's very cheesy. And
All the things we've learned about Garrick in the past, about like how many bad things he must have done. Just, he seems so likable again in this episode. There's something about his voice that distinguishes him. Just the lighter quality of his voice that distinguishes him from all the other Cardassians. So you think, oh, this is a nice guy. This is much more sympathetic about what's going to happen to him. So.
Well, I think so. If to devil's advocate here, and I don't mean to not defend Garrick because I love Garrick dearly, as you well know. Garrick at this point is pretty set in his motivations are to protect Cardassia. Even if he feels his race has betrayed them, he is still loyal to his homeworld and his race. He's just feuding with people, individuals. And so I definitely think in this episode, you could take his altruism as, no, my first priority is Cardassia, and everything I'm doing to help the station and everything is in service of that loyalty. And I think even when we see him like stand beside Dukat and fight side by side, we know he hates Dukat. We know they have bad history, but it is all about protecting his people. And that is Garrick's primary motivating factor over 7 seasons, is I care about Cardassia.
The other thing I have about that came up before, honor, is it's just a great example of we're seeing the younger Martok just show up with a bunch of guys to hold him down so we can hit him. Which is what?
Drex, son of Martok. So Drex, sorry, I was about to film, but I'm going to talk about Drex real quick. Drex is the opposite of honorable. Believe it or not, this is Obi Nadefo, is the actor that plays him. He only has 21 acting credits, and this is his very first one. He will be back in an episode of Voyager as a different character. He's got a guest spot on The West Wing. He had a guest spot on NYPD Blue. He did 10 episodes of Dawson's Creek.
thought he looked familiar, but
His last guest spot was an episode of NCIS Los Angeles about 5 years ago. But he is best known for this episode of Deep Space Nine and 6 episodes of Stargate SG-1. Thankfully, for whatever reason, as many times as we get Martok after this, Drex never returns. And I'm not upset about that, because I did not like Drex.
Was he...
Very disappointed.
Was he just a background person on Dawson's Creek, or was he...
It's 6 episodes. He's got a character named Bodhi something. I already closed it, but...
I don't remember.
But when we finish Star Trek and we do our Dawson's Creek rewatch, because we both love Dawson's Creek.
I'm glad or thankful for Worf being in these kinds of episodes and calling out the things that are obviously dishonorable, to say, yes, we are aware that this is not how a Klingon should behave because of blah blah blah. So
and
okay, it's like, okay.
And as much as Drex came off as the cartoon bully here, I think if we had gotten that additional context of Garrick, speaking Klingon and and deciphering some of their plans, and gave Drex a little bit more of a motive to attack him, then maybe he would have seemed
at least
less of a punk.
Reasonable, at least.
Yeah, some kind of motive.
One other thing while we're still on Garrick getting beaten up. I love when he says the thing about, well, I got some cutting remarks in, which this is this week's...
I'm almost healed, but they'll be scarred forever. So Kassidy makes her distress call to the station. I like that Sisko can get on the turbolift and ops and say Defiant, and it takes him straight to the Defiant. We know the turbolift goes more than up and down, but it's still fun that he can say Defiant. Kassidy, in the book... another sequence of events that happen in the book that aren't in the show is they're chasing Kassidy down and they try to board her, and the first thing that happens is she agrees to surrender because they're going to blow her up if she doesn't surrender, and right as the Klingons are beaming, she warps and all the Klingon soldiers die in mid-beam. And so by the time Defiant shows up, K-Bach is mad and determined to kill her because he was beaming 75% of his crew and they died in transport.
That's what you get.
Right?
That's what you get.
Which was so awesome, and I wish that had made it in the episode.
How's that never come up? Well, I mean, that's...
It might have been a Diane Carey embellishment. It may not have been in the original script.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you get where I'm going with that. It's interesting that they haven't used that in something. I mean, is that scientifically
possible? But if you
possible?
warp away mid-transport, that's a good question.
I feel like most, other than I guess motion picture, we have that transporter accident, which is, to me, scared the crap out of me as a kid.
Well,
even now it's scary.
I was thinking Star Trek 3 when Christopher Lloyd's like, beam back! And the Enterprise blows up. K-Bach even says, like, pull them back from the transporter, and they're like, nope, we didn't get them in the buffer. Like, they're gone.
Yeah.
We beamed them back, but they were all exposed to the vacuum of space, and they all died.
Yeah.
Which, I think maybe the reason this doesn't come on screen is you can survive in the vacuum of space for a certain amount of time. And in this, it had to be like, they were only in the vacuum for a second, but apparently they died anyway.
Yeah.
Because if you pull them back immediately...
Oh, right.
Right? They should survive that.
Right.
Unless Klingons are a lot more susceptible to the vacuum of space than humans are. Because humans could survive for like 30 seconds or something like that.
Well, I think the Klingons more so because they got those redundant organs.
The 2 penises should really help them survive.
Like a helicopter.
The 2 hearts might help too, but the 2 penises is really the key there.
It's 1 heart per penis, right? Essentially,
Yes.
right?
Right, so but it's.
But they're vertical, right? Because the streams.
Yes, of course.
Because my point is I guess there are a lot of hijinks that they never think to do. Because, I mean, you see all kinds of situations. Like I said, would create a lot of plot holes. The idea of people being in these helpless situations where they could just... There's so many ways that transporters don't work when you want them to.
Yeah.
If you want to, purposely sabotage.
This isn't even my alternate episode. This is my alternate series now. Transporter hijinks.
Yeah.
We thought it would be funny.
Yeah, you've been so over the holodeck, but you are ready for the new transporter.
I am here
season.
for transporter hijinks. People getting beamed down to places they weren't expecting. Not
Or
just
wearing clothes that aren't theirs. The
Yeah,
clothes all get
exactly,
rearranged.
exactly, yeah.
There's an episode of Freaky Friday where their brains get
See?
switched. No, I'm just kidding. Lindsay Lohan's brain beams into Jamie Lee Curtis.
Exactly.
So at the 24-minute mark, Worf finally shows up. Which, like I said, there's an immediate abrupt shift for the next 20 minutes are all starring Worf, which... I do not love it when you bring in a new character and the story all becomes about them. I know with 7 of 9 that was a big problem of like the first season every story is about her. But in this case the story was so specific and it fit him so well. It did not feel like he came in and took over. I think probably because Sisko still had a significant role. They still found bits for Dax. They still let Quark be... Quark was A+ in this episode with the zingers.
He never misses, man.
He doesn't. Like, the dartboard, it's a bullseye every time. He doesn't have to bury it 8 inches deep. But anyway, yeah, it did not... The other thing that strikes me is I feel like almost any other Star Trek character, it would have been a little jarring at this point. Not the beginning of Deep Space Nine, but at this point, bringing in a personality like Dr. Crusher or Counselor Troy, it would have been so, like, out of tone with what Deep Space Nine is, but Worf is the character that most fits in Deep Space Nine. And I've said before, I like Deep Space Nine Worf better than I like Next Gen Worf. I think they develop him better and use him better, and I think this shows you just a taste of where that's gonna go.
Well, like I said, at the beginning, I'm like, well, when he came on, I was like, oh, is this all gonna be a Klingon episode? And then
Yes, it is all a Klingon
I thought it all
episode.
got weaved in though in a much more interesting way than the usual Klingon honor episodes. So.
And even though it's clearly a Worf show, it's not the case that the rest of Deep Space Nine is dominated by Worf to any extent. You know, like he's just in the mix. He's well balanced moving forward, and it was appropriate to really focus on him to weave him in.
They did really good job, like making sure he got to introduce and meet each character. And that bar scene where he's at Quark's. Well, first of all, we have O'Brien greet him, which is great.
Well, I like their. Like,
I was glad they acknowledged that because I feel like a lot of times they wouldn't.
Yeah,
I was glad that was acknowledged.
I like it when he's like, "Hey, you remember Captain Picard?"
So,
oh yeah, that guy.
Remember when he got assimilated when all of us died? No, that doesn't ring a bell. Lakunas? No, he murdered your current captain's wife. Oh, I think I vaguely remember that. No, that's what rang a little bit hollow. And Siska's like, sorry about the Enterprise. She was a good ship. And I'm like, really? You think that? Because you still blame the captain for murdering your wife, don't you? But before we get to the bar scene, which I want to talk a lot about, because Worf introducing, we take a second to send him to Sisko's office just to tell Sisko, yeah, I think I'm going to resign from Starfleet, which felt a little bit jarring.
Yeah.
And a little bit rough, but... It gives you a good character motivation of the rest of the episode. But then we get to the bar. Worf at Quark's. This is so stuck in my head. First of all, the banter with O'Brien and Bashir, who we know he's met because Bashir did that crossover in Next Gen where he was on the Enterprise for like 2 episodes. And then commenting on Kira's hat and bringing up like, oh, you used to be Curzon. Like, they found ways to ingratiate him in all these. And then, of course, Quark has to walk by and make comments, but... We did end that scene with Worf's confrontation of Drex, and in the original version, Drex hit him first, but then George Lucas re-edited this episode after Roddenberry died, and Worf hit him first.
Maybe I've asked this question before Do you think Klingon water had all the fluoride taken out of it? Speaking of college.
Well, yeah, that's not the way of the warrior, Steven.
It does seem that Worf has better oral hygiene than most Klingons.
He does. I noticed that too. Yeah.
He's not out there drinking that Empire water.
That's right.
And yet,
Yeah.
who at this table would kick Lursa or Beator out of bed? Just saying.
There is 2 of them.
That's right.
I prefer one over the other, personally. I'm more of a Beator girl than a Lursa, but
I just think of boob window when I think of.
of course you do. We got the reminder that Worf has a son, even though I don't think that picture was any actor that we've seen play out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was a new actor, which
Yeah,
is,
none of the 6 were available for that photo.
and when we get Alexander in Deep Space Nine, which we will, it will be a different actor again. Because Klingons age much faster, so he's going to be quite a bit older.
I really wanted to go like, I have a what now?
But there was a bit of a reset that not only is his honor shredded again after just a couple of short years, he had left Alexander with his parents, who got tired of him, shipped him to the Enterprise, where Worf had to take care of him for a couple seasons, and then apparently he shipped him back to his parents.
But I like how he was careful to say, well, he's happier there.
Of course.
It's really in his best interest that he's with grandparents. It's a big sacrifice on my part to send him there.
It's just like Keiko's always happier when she's on Earth. And
For her grandmother's 99th birthday,
it's
it's celebrated over 6 months.
anything that keeps her and O'Brien apart makes me happy.
She's got to keep going back to Earth to do the Freaky Friday with whoever's doing Freaky Friday now. She did reprise her role in Freakier Friday.
Oh, really?
Rosalind Chow. Worf, taking Drex's knife just to lure Martok into a conversation was so good when Martok's like, "You must give me the knife back or else. Here you go." Well, you took my son's honor. Couldn't take what he didn't have.
The shade.
It was pure great Worf, but also great manipulation. Not considering where Worf and Martok's relationship goes. This was really interesting that was the beginning of it. Not to say which direction it goes, but it will go from here. To spoil that Worf will have further interaction with a reoccurring Klingon character. I know that's hard to believe. Dax's training program, that skeleton guy is the same that was in Worf's training program, right?
Oh, yeah, sure looked like it from Next Generation. I thought that was a nice little callback.
In the book, it does mention that the holosuites at Quark's are much rougher than the Enterprise D, and Worf makes a comment about, I guess the Enterprise D, they keep everything very sane and safe, other than breakdowns, of course. Whereas the holosuites, they don't have as many guidelines and rules. This is a tougher program.
I wonder if there's some kind of subject race in the Klingon Empire that just has skulls for heads like that. They're used for training.
They could be. I was just glad we didn't have the pig guy this time. The second one.
I have a note that it's just, I guess it had been so long since they had
That
given...
wasn't Taylor, right?
Pig boy.
It had been so long since they
Taylor
given...
He wasn't here.
right, well,
Sorry, Chief.
We had a lot more pig jokes.
so long
Put
since
lipstick on him. Go ahead.
since they'd given Dax some storyline of that sort, that I forgot that she had any sort of knowledge or interaction with the Klingon Empire to that extent.
Yeah.
So she could keep bringing up. I know the language. I know these customs. I know blah. When she's
Yes.
I think it was probably mildly offensive to her when she's standing right behind Sisko, as he's like, nobody knows a Klingon like a Klingon. What if we had someone around here who knew how to deal with Klingons? Just glaring at
Oh, that didn't occur to me, but that's so good. But also, Keith, the way you keep saying this, I'm like, yes! How did you misremember what you misremembered? Anyway.
Oh, that.
Anyway.
He's got a lot going on, all right?
So do I, but... So...
It's been decades, never really... and whatever.
Worf gets his random friend drunk. I kind of wish Dax had been in that scene, too.
Yeah.
So, this was a Sisko Worf episode, but if there was a secondary lead, I think Dax got more to do than everybody else, which I'm not upset about.
Yeah.
Because she rarely gets much, and I was glad she has as much as she did. But so he gets drunk. It seems like he's faking the drunk, because then once the information comes out, he gets real, in the book it says he's, faking it, but yeah. He gets in, the name drops in that scene, though, of, before that scene, I've called Gowron, I've called Kalis, I've called my brother Curtis, it's on the council. He's, reminding us of all of them. Yeah.
Is that when they sing the Klingon sea shanty?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was saying I was trying to remember, just as an actor, I'm trying to imagine having to try to memorize that song.
Yeah.
I mean, they were lockstep on key. Just this is clearly a well-remembered, famous song that we're singing right now, and just
That was Huraga, I believe, played by William Dennis Hunt, who is best known for Flesh Gordon, playing Emperor Wang the Perverted. Also known for Dragonfly, a 2002 movie, Chaplin, a 1992 movie.
Well, that doesn't sound very funny.
And
Robert Downey Jr.
Flesh Gordon meets the Cosmic Cheerleaders.
Much better. Here we go. We're back on track.
Where Flesh Gordon is kidnapped by a group of space cheerleaders hoping to use them to save his planet.
Can we do
Space
that as a
cheerleaders.
special episode?
He has 49 credits. One of his last ones
Just
being
the
Grace
sequel.
and Frankie.
Yeah.
He died in 2020, but one of his last credits was in Grace and Frankie. He was in Everybody's Grace. He was in Evan Almighty. Like, he doesn't... But apparently, I'm assuming those are porns that he also did. Those were his first two credits. In 1974 was
Okay.
Flesh Gordon, and Flesh Gordon Meets the Cosmic Cheerleaders was
makes
not
sense.
made until 16 years later,
wow.
1990. And then his third credit's 1991. So he just did porn for 16 years. And then he played Man Number One, Who's the Boss, which I don't think was a porn, although, you know, Man Number One, Who's the Boss, you never know. Yeah, I don't recognize him looking at him, but wow, I did not mean to even bump into this. Did not have his IMDb page open. Flesh Gordon, wow. Wow. And then he was a real actor.
It was such an interesting scene, I thought, because you so rarely get to see Worf act with another Klingon just as a peer and not as an outsider.
Right.
Yes.
Or like a political actor.
Yeah.
Just a couple Klingons being Klingons.
Yeah.
It was neat.
And establishing that his family still has those ties in the Empire, which we would think because they were one of the great houses. And they lost everything, but those things would be rebuilt when your house is rebuilt. So,
Did the book go into any detail on the background and relationship between those two?
no. Not any more than the screen did. Just what he mentioned about it. His father saved him and whatever.
Just to touch on the sea shanty one more time, I feel like song is really big with the Klingons because later they're like, "Oh, we will do deeds that will be worthy of song." It's kind of like they will write songs about the great things we do. Like,
Well, this
okay.
isn't the first time they mentioned that. And, you know,
Yeah.
Worf's really into Klingon opera, which is a big genre that
That's
we
true.
hear about
Oh.
frequently.
Whereas
Right.
Romulans hate music.
Right. Because it's not... I don't know where I was going with that.
Not logical.
Except for grunge, they love grunge.
So we get the scene where Garrick is called to fit Sisko for a suit. I mean, I love that everybody gets to play a part, so all of their hands are dirty when it blows back, that they purposely clued the Cardassians in. Like, it was a well orchestrated. I would wish we had the scene before Garrick walks in of, you say this, and you say that, and you say this.
Or better yet, I have a plan. They just pull up, and then yes, it fades out, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted to see when Cisco has to explain it, and they're like, "Well, do you realize that he found out about this?" And then I just wanted him to go, "Did I do that?"
Oh,
And with glasses on, of course.
of course. He never wears glasses, but yeah, I can see that. Oh, he does in Far Beyond the Stars, I believe. Gowron finally shows up. The argument between Gowron and Worf, like, reminding us of their backstory to a
Yeah.
certain extent, not enough that we didn't have to still fill Keith in, but remind us to a certain extent, was such a great, powerful scene. I loved seeing Worf on the bridge. I was glad they did that on the Klingon ship, even though that's not a set they were really, like, using this week. Not much. But they did that on there in that thing, and Worf going back into disgrace. It did feel like it happened a bit abruptly, that it was only one scene that he chose to go back in disgrace, but it was a really good example of where Worf stands amongst other Klingons and what his actual code of honor is versus their fake code of honor.
Just from the performance perspective of this, I just every now and then I'm reminded of all the experiences I've had up to this point compared to like when I was much younger watching this for the first time, or when, seeing them on screen, where I don't find just certain things I find funny immediately. Just the bug eyes and everything like that. I was just imagining making that choice and just going so hard with it. It works, and it's just not caring if it comes off a little silly because it's still effective somehow. And just say, "Come with me, Worf." Yeah, it's just like.
I wonder if he had a hard time going back to just being human after the show.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever has gone back to being human.
I feel the same way about Shimmerman as Quark. Like,
Yeah.
that's gotta be the peak of his life. He's so good.
Yeah.
So he kept the teeth. So that brings us up to the O'Brien-Worf conversation where they're like, "Do you remember Wolf 359?" Which I think was super appropriate. They should have mentioned Sisko in that exchange. But also, I loved the joke about, "Yeah, we were invincible except for the holodeck. It kept breaking down."
Yes.
And I thought Steven probably really appreciated that.
Yes, I did.
And then that's when Worf tells O'Brien he's resigning, because Worf's just telling everybody. It was weird when Worf tells Sisko, who he just met, I think I'm going to resign and throw my whole life away. O'Brien felt a little more natural. I kind of wish they'd saved it for the O'Brien scene.
I feel like they built up enough with their first meeting that was specifically about that. I mean, Sisko confided in him about that because he was trying to...
I guess that's also an example of Worf's growth, because even people that he knew close, he wouldn't have said that before Star Trek Generations, but post Star Trek Generations, I can see how he's already opening up more and embracing who he is more, and the dating Troy probably helped too.
Well, I forgot about that. Well, I was going to say, but I mean,
As awful, well, we would all prefer to forget about that, but that could probably help him open up emotionally.
but I mean, it was specifically topical. They seemed to have a good rapport at the beginning, and also he was saying specifically, "I relate to you because of this."
Yeah.
So
Worf tries to quit again, and Sisko refuses to let him quit
this time, yeah.
this time. And they get on the phone with Dukat. I know Steven was very excited to see Dukat again.
I enjoy it.
I told you he'll be a going concern, but it did feel almost a little convenient, but also just a testament to who Dukat is as a character, that the military's been completely overthrown, wiped out, and he's survived as the military advisor to the civilians. And I think that tells you like who Dukat is and what a survivor he is, and I think that will inform more of his plot coming forward too.
I wanted to
That
go
he
back.
always just lands on his feet.
Sorry, to go back to that thing we were glossing over, just that Sisko didn't accept his resignation. So I think that also speaks to Worf maybe wanting someone to talk him out of it. I think Sisko knew that,
definitely.
and so that was like, I'm going to you to by the way, so I think he needed permission to somebody to tell him you can't do it. It was like, well, okay,
Yeah, because it could have gone the other way, like, hey, I'm going to resign. Okay.
yeah.
No, really? Okay. Aren't you going to stop me? No? Really?
Diane Carey makes a big point in the book in several different scenes of Worf relating well to Sisko, because he is a big man of similar size who also seems like he's a tough with a strong moral ethic. And it's like, oh, was that different than Picard because Picard's short, so he respects Sisko more? There are also a lot of scenes in this book from Martok's perspective, which I will say, it's a little frustrating. It does not align with the canon of Martok later. But at this point, only having this one script to go off of, she's going to write what she's going to write. But it's also like the internal thoughts of like, that's not Martok. That actually is contradicted by things we learn and see later. Oh well. I'll explain more
The
later.
novelization of Star Wars the movie, that at no point does Darth Vader's inner voice think about his kids he never found.
Yeah, why would he not think of that? That author sucks. We get to Defiant. Worf is sitting at the engineering station of all places, which seems odd. Although, as Keith pointed out, he is wearing yellow, so it's all the same.
That wasn't me.
Okay.
I know colors.
I was going to ask, how did you know it was the engineering station?
Because it said engineering in big letters right above his head.
Just like Rogue, he's also a rogue station. Just like,
They rescue Dukat. I did think it was strange, and the book does not have the same issue, where Sisko calls to the transporter room, and he's like, have you got him? And Dukat's in the transporter room going, half the council's still over there. Wouldn't he be the last one off of the ship?
Right.
When he's protecting the council?
That's what I thought when we
Or
first
the
saw him.
first,
Yeah.
if we're going to call him
That's what
Slimy.
I-
The middle
That's what I thought.
doesn't feel right. In the book, he's still on the other ship when he reports that only half are
That's
rescued.
what.
I thought this was an interesting mode for Dukat here, because Sisko calls him out on like the kind of craven political behavior, and he just acknowledges it. He's like, "Oh, you noticed that?" He doesn't try to deny it. Or
Yeah, he doesn't get
justify.
his usual, like, well, what do you mean by this?
Yeah.
There is a great scene in the book that didn't make it into the show where Dukat goes to tell the council they have to evacuate, and they're like, "We don't believe or trust you. We think you're just going to take us away to murder us and take over." And he's like, "If I did, I would come in here with weapons and just kill you." And they still don't believe him, and they spend all this time arguing until he finally calls armed guards, and so do they, but his show up first. And he's like holding guns to them, and he's like, "You're coming with me," and they're like, "But you're just going to murder us in space." And he's like, "I would just do it now."
And to this day, not one statue of Dukat in the council
That's
chamber.
Right? It's really fun, but you also get it. He's like, "Why'd you ask me to stay on if you don't trust me?" And they're like, "Well, because you've got knowledge or whatever." And he's like, "Okay, but then trust that knowledge."
There's not one picture of him in the entire planet. When I heard I didn't ask who gave the order.
So when
I didn't ask.
they blow up the Klingon ship, that fireball really burns quite a little bit in space, where there's plenty of oxygen, as you know.
Well, not anymore.
I feel like
fire, the warrior's confetti.
I feel like starships blow up a lot more often in Deep Space Nine, and
I get
we've
that
gone along.
we often see fireballs when they blow up, but this one seemed particularly big and long-lasting.
It's good for ratings.
Caesar,
Explosions
yeah.
are good for
That was
ratings.
also the buzz on the street. Warp back, bigger explosions.
We should
Jack's
look up
in a bikini.
Well, that wasn't a bikini. That was a one piece, wasn't it?
I forgot
We
to
didn't
ask
see
about-
stomach.
Forgot
Or
to ask
not
about the
stomach.
trailer.
Wait for the later episode. I looked. The DVD didn't have it, but we can pull it up on the computer. Garrick.
Stop the recording.
The first scene I noted that wasn't a novel was Garrick and Quark's, where the root beer comes up.
Yeah.
Shaun brought us root beer.
Yeah.
For
It's
this special
insidious.
episode. It was such a good scene where Garrick and Quark bond over, we're at the mercy of these people. And we've put we've thrown our lots in here. And Quark talking about, I'm a people person. Sell weapons. My cousin Gala, who I believe we hear about, I feel like this isn't the first time we've heard about him. We'll hear about him later, that he owns a moon. And Quark wishes he owned a moon.
Yeah.
But I loved that scene so much. It was such a good bonding between two side characters that, I know one's a main character, but you know what I mean. Like,
Outside of the root beer slander, I did enjoy it.
I didn't think it was even slander.
So, speaking of the thing about the weapon selling, O'Brien had that strange little. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but I put down. He accidentally explains why wars happen because of the profitable nature of. I love being. I'm glad that this Dominion thing is happening, so we have an excuse to tweak weapons and stuff. It was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's what it was. Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah.
Where he was, because the station, was falling apart
That's what it was,
for
yeah.
so long.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, a rule of acquisition,
Yeah.
number, I was trying to find it real quick.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Well, it also points to that the whole episode, and again, topical, is
Oh.
very much about the government or leaders or whatever. O'Brien being like, "Oh, it's fortunate that this bad thing happened, so we can make an excuse to do all this." Because that's essentially where we start. Is like, well, anybody. The Klingons were like, anybody could be a shapeshifter, so we gotta check everybody.
Well, as War of Acquisition number 34 states, war is good for business.
That's true too.
Yeah, but in Quark's defense, what about rule number 35?
Peace is good for business.
Love it.
Rule 35 was mentioned in Deep Space Nine first, before they were both mentioned in. Next Gen first. Peace is good for business was mentioned Next Gen, before they had the Deep Space Nine mentioned both of them later.
Interesting.
And then the war is good for business will come back up again, and that's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
The Siege of AR 558. Oh, that's a good episode.
Classic.
Yeah, it is. There's a. Okay. Later, Pin.
Thank you.
Don't want to spoil. Something relevant to that episode, though. I did wonder at this point in the episode, when they're talking about evacuating civilians, I don't care where Keiko is. She's probably in Bajor or whatever again. There's never any mention of Jake. Where's Jake? Is he off the station? Is
You
he
get
gone?
plenty of Jake in the next episode.
We get wonderfully plenty of Jake in the next episode. There's that scene between Bashir and Odo's also not in the novelization. I really liked that a lot, where he's like, let me put some guards, and Bashir's like, no, they just get in the way. And also like, Constable, be careful. And then Bashir like saving him is really nice bookend to at the beginning when Odo like kills Bashir in the drill. Like I thought that was all nice and lovely. We're really past the hating Bashir part.
I guess during that conversation, if Odo had just turned the conversation, just turned into a chair or whatever, and he's like, "Where'd he go? I was just talking to him. I'm right here. I'll be fine. I'll be safe."
Yeah, Bashir got a lot better once Garrick thought him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, we did skip over our guest star K-Bach, who was the leader that Martok executed. He is best known for the Hudsucker Proxy, Bruce Almighty, Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. He did 79 episodes, and Dude, Where's My Car, where he played the interrogation cop.
Twice in one episode. What's going on?
Well, we did that as a special episode already on this show. He will appear in Voyager and Enterprise as two different characters, but Enterprise, it will be a Klingon again, but a different Klingon. So, back to the episode where we are. A lot of the fight and pre-fight stuff wasn't in the book. They really did it. By the time we get to the Klingons invading, we were like 15 pages away from the end of the book. Whereas in the show, there was a lot more to it, and I liked that. The pre-fight Quark and Ducat, that's not right. Garrick and Ducat. Oh, Odo and Quark and Garrick and Dukat, the pre-fight scenes were really nice. I liked getting that moment of stopping and talking and bonding, and the Quark with the box and Rom left him the note. I missed Rom in this episode, but that was beautiful.
I talked about this before, at least. Do we feel like, because I feel like in like not all of the best Star Trek episodes have this, but a lot of them do, and especially I feel like season finales and season openers or two-parters, a lot of wars in the stars. I feel like it's like, we gotta have the, and I mean, that's what we're here for, yeah, exactly. Let's see some phasers and photon torpedoes, and
I was here for treks in the stars, not wars in the stars.
Deep Space Nine is war for the rest of the series. I'm sorry to tell you.
What's that?
I said I'm not sorry to tell you.
No, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. It's more indictment of us, society, that we need to see this violence. No, but to that point again, I also feel like they deliver not only the wars in the stars, but they're good ones usually. You know,
would you call them Star Wars?
I would not. I would try and not say that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I wouldn't either.
We don't want to receive a cease and desist for your podcast.
Well, that's not what I'm talking. That's not why I wouldn't say it.
But yeah, so I just thought. But like I said, in this instance, it delivered, and like I think I always think of like Yesterday's Enterprise, isn't that? That's the that's one of my favorites.
It's great,
and it's,
with that one character whose name we can never remember.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't she blonde?
Yeah, she was.
And she was covered in this black stuff.
Wait,
I don't
wasn't
remember
she the captain or the first officer on that show? I'm thinking of the other blonde in that episode that I really like. I can't remember right now. Anyway, sorry. Continue. Oh, so this is where Cisco, they're like, you're like a toothless cat or whatever, isn't that? And then when he responded, like, well, it was fine that we're not so toothless. And then he said something after that, and I was really disappointed. It was like, kitten's got claws or some kind of. I couldn't believe it didn't continue the cat metaphor there. Like,
we know how you feel about cats.
That exactly that.
What struck me about the Martok Gowron threat was, first of all, in the book at least, we found out what happened to Gowron's ship and why he was a Martok ship, whereas in the show he's just all of a sudden steps out from behind Martok, like, oh my god, Gowron's hiding behind him, but Gowron is short, so it's easy to hide. But the auto zoom feature was definitely at play, where we've got the wide shot of both of them, and next time we see it, it's zoomed in on Gowron, and I'm like, who's zooming in the view screen?
I thought every time it was the two shot of them, the way they would yell, like one would, I am going to yell now. No, I will yell. It was just so, I can't think of what, but it was just such a weird, not even a Klingon thing. It was just, I guess it's more of a Gowron thing. It just the whole look just made me laugh at the two of them, like, I yell now. No, I yell things.
I remember distinctly watching this episode the first time, and I thought Cisco was bluffing when they were talking about the toothless cat.
Oh,
he really did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's this whole fleet, they're going to die. And when all those weapons popped up and started firing, I flipped the heck out.
That's the way I watched it this time, because even though O'Brien telling us, we're putting this in, here, this is for you.
Oh, we've never seen it like this.
Down. And and then I just forgot, and then once it happened, I was like, oh, that's what's going to happen.
Well, seeing the station by itself, they didn't even launch the Defiant, because the Defiant, it wasn't made clear in the show, but in the book, the Defiant was so battle damaged from rescuing the Cardassians and flying back, it just wasn't in any shape to help. But that station facing a whole Klingon fleet, and yes, they lost some shields and whatever, but they were holding their own against a whole freaking Klingon fleet.
And I like to think,
all of a sudden, that station is formidable.
So I think what helps with that, for me forgetting all the O'Brien, like, hey, installing weapons right over here, is all the Starfleet's not going to be here for a while, or that kind of stuff. It's like, oh yeah, they're screwed. It's Fort Apache, or Fort Apache the Bronx, or
it did feel like a Last Stand moment.
What's the John Carpenter? Solar Precinct 13, same kind of thing. Except, and I thought the hand-to-hand stuff was pretty good for the first one too. It was cool to see everyone beating the crap out of each other. And
would have been cool to see Oda do some shape-shifting, but you can't have it all.
You're right.
They spent so much budget on this episode.
Right.
They did his shape-shifting at the beginning, and all the space stuff. Like, this was such an expensive two-parter.
Could he shapeshift into a batleth and then...
Sure. I would think so.
I mean, if you can make a coffee, you can make a bat with
it. Yeah. At first I thought baseball bat, and I thought, no,
at least a shiv.
I did that. So we had the ops battle, and Cisco and Worf, of course, were kicking butt. Dax was holding her own, which is not unexpected.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised Kira went down so easy.
Yeah.
But I thought she'd still be standing too. She should have been.
Did we ever see her at the end of the episode all fixed?
Yeah, well, we saw her like congratulate Worf along with everybody else, but there was never any like tension of she might die.
I know in future surgery's a lot easier and faster. I mean, they fixed Garrick's ribs and all that.
Unless you're Barile.
You know, they didn't even get this. They didn't even spend the budget. We didn't even spend the budget to show Garrick messed up. He was already fixed before we saw him.
Yeah.
Quark reopens and Morn is the first one in, of course.
Yeah, that was funny.
Cisco mentions he was designing orbital habitats when he's talking to Worf during his time. We know he helped design the Defiant. So is that his code?
Oh, I didn't know that.
They mentioned that. I swear they mentioned it on screen. I know it's been mentioned in text.
I mean, like
That's
when
he
he
did.
was a civilian?
No, after he was off the Saratoga waiting on his next assignment, he was designing stuff. That's what he went and did. And I really felt like when he said, I was designing orbital habitats, I'm like the Defiant? Are you just talking in code because it's classified or something? I don't understand why he said orbital habitats instead of ships like that thing you were just on. Cisco opening up about his pain was great. Love the Cisco development. I felt like Cisco keeps not getting enough to do in the first 3 seasons, and I think we've entered the era of peak Cisco, which will continue through the end. Worf in the red uniform. Did you have any type of reaction to that?
No. I mean...
Red, the color of passion.
It was different, yeah.
Well, he's command now. Because they already have a security chief.
On a fashion note, was he in his pajamas when he was packing?
Yes.
Yeah, those look very comfortable.
We've seen him in stuff like that before.
I like those. Oh, and the other thing I think in that same scene, and maybe it's, high def TV and all that, but you could really see the makeup on Worf, the side of Worf's face.
Yes.
Because I kept looking like, is that? No? Yeah, we can see the application.
I did wonder in that scene where he and the other Klingon bang foreheads, what the reapplication was like after that.
So I did have 3 alternate episodes. We haven't talked about any of them yet, and I don't want these to be true. But, Cisco got stabbed and Worf's on the bridge, or not Cisco, Kira got stabbed and Worf's on ops, and for a second, now, me in 2025 was like, oh, would they have just, considered killing Kira off and putting him in as XO? There was also a point in this episode, I'm like, what if they killed Cisco off and brought Worf in as the captain?
Ooh.
From a behind-the-scenes perspective. I'm glad they didn't, because Cisco and Kira are both wonderful characters that I love and adore, and it would have sucked to lose their arc that are still upcoming. But I wonder if there was temptation to get rid of one of them to make room for Worf instead of inventing this new position. Even though the new position, specific to what they're going through with war, having a strategic tactical officer makes sense to add this extra position. But you've already got Odo, who's chief of station security. You've already got Eddington, who's chief of Starfleet security. There's not room for another security chief.
Bit of a log jam there.
But I think that was part of what was interesting about putting him in the red, that he's in the command track, and in a number of episodes we'll see him acting as a command officer rather than just a security officer. And I think that's a good move for Worf and a good evolution of his character. My other alternate episode was how cool would it have been if, as things were heating up, the Enterprise E flew in, which we wouldn't have seen yet. So introducing us to the Enterprise E in Deep Space Nine instead of First Contact, the Enterprise E flies in, and it's a full-blown crossover 2-parter with the next-gen crew helping them stave off war. That would have been amazing.
Heck yeah, or even later in the season have the E show up and offer Worf his rollback, and now he's got to decide what he really wants to do with his future.
They will bend over backwards in ways that start to seem contrived to make sure Worf gets to participate in the 3 next-gen movies we have still left to come. He is in all 3 of them.
It's honestly hilarious.
It gets pretty ridiculous, especially the insurrection. The ways they find to make sure Worf gets to join the crew for those missions. But especially because it just really bums me out. We'll talk about when we get to the end of Deep Space Nine, about the way they work him in after Deep Space Nine's over. Just cheapens. But anyway. Yeah, it's... Having Worf there, I like him a lot. I just think this would have been a good opportunity for crossover, and I know they blew their budget, but I feel like they were already working on First Contact. Why not lend just a little bit of money for crossover stuff of, here's a shot of the Emperor. The Klingon fleet had at least 5 different types of Klingon ships in it, which even in Star Trek Picard in 2022, there was a fleet of all the same style of ship, which was stupid. And awful, and you'd think they could spend a little bit more money. But we saw the original series Klingon ship, we saw the movie Klingon ship, we saw 2 different Klingon ships they introduced next gen, we saw the brand new one in this episode.
Hey, the Rise of Skywalker had the same problem. They had the same 100 versions of the same ship.
But we saw a variety of
With
Klingon
1,000.
ships in this.
We
Maybe
did.
not as many as we would expect to see, but at least 5 different Klingon ships, and I appreciated that. That was cool.
But that was for War in the Stars.
Just one of the major differences between
worst ones.
digital and practical effects is like once you've built the model, now you're looking for excuses to use it, whereas in
Yeah.
digital you're looking for excuses not to make it.
Yeah.
I guess, but you'd think by now they've got a big enough digital library. You don't have to give us a fleet in Star Trek Picard where it's all one class of ship. That was really frustrating. We'll get to that in a few years. My last couple notes. Kira saving Dukat was interesting, and I think we'll explore more of her. Well, we've already explored some in the series of her new role, that it puts her in different sides than she would normally be.
Just all these combos you're going through, you know,
Yeah.
the Quark and Garrick, the Dukat and Garrick, Kira and Dukat, Worf and Cisco. Just, it speaks to the unique strength of this show out of all the different Trek shows. You know, I love them all, but they really invest in all these incredible characters. They cast them with incredible actors. And then all you really got to do as a writer at that point is put them in a room together and let the magic happen.
Yeah.
Because they've spent the last 3 seasons making those investments. Now we get the next 4 seasons just payoff after payoff after payoff.
And with Worf, they just introduced him, but you had 7 seasons in a film to draw off of. So they were able to take that stuff. And even in this episode, he has as much development here as we ever saw him have at a Next Gen moment. And from here, we get regular development, whereas Next Gen, he was just static for so long.
No doubt. And I mean, it's momentous both for you as the viewer. Like, Worf is here and it feels like a real moment. Like, wow, things are different in a good way. And inside the show, it also feels momentous. Like, everything's different. He's here because the whole situation in the show has changed for XYZ.
Yeah.
Just a really, really elegant parallelism there.
Yes. The show has already gotten a lot darker and will stay darker. I mean, the ramp up of the battle, of all the death, of all the fighting, of people turning against each other, and the war. This was the episode when they wiped out the Cardassian Romulan fleet, that was impactful, but it was still like over happening here. Now the war has come to Deep Space Nine literally, and I feel like it doesn't leave. And the rest of the series, this hangs over every episode, even the ones they're not fighting, of we are in the middle of this.
So that's why we're going to have a lot more wars in the stars.
Yeah. We go. You guys have other notes before we get to ranking?
I just have a few. When I was talking about makeup, I thought Kira's nose looked a little different.
Oh. I didn't notice.
And maybe it was her haircut also, but really none of Visitor's eyes just were really popping to me. I mean, she's always, I've always commented on how attractive I think she is. But yeah, especially so here. A lot of flips during the explosions, and I feel like that's a Star Trek thing.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
And there's even almost like a Wilhelm scream where the guy goes flipping over.
But no glass table's broken.
Yeah, there's the things on the bridge for them to hold on to, but they
Right.
always just flip over them.
Yeah.
It's like, why are they even there?
They need little harnesses on those
They're
things.
just things to bump into. I mean, I would just be constantly bumping into
Well,
them.
the original series had the railing, too.
That's true. Yeah, and a lot of the mother of all flips are on those shows. My last thing was, we have speaking of original series, we have a Day of the Dove callback essentially at the end where they're like, when Gowron's like, no, we will not battle each other for while they, weaken each other, while, just to please the Dominion or whatever, and that's Day of the Dove, that's when they start laughing, like, ho, ho, ho.
This episode was
so
better
good.
than Day of the Dove.
This was a million times better than Day of the Dove.
I don't know. I love Day of the Dove.
Just I had from the change of strategy when they were during the rescue of the Cardassians. There's the engine targeting way, and then there's
Blowing them up.
The way of the word.
there's ...
I like that you played along, Olivia, and said
I did not play along. I was oblivious. I was oblivious.
Nice. Insidious. That was just Shaun made that reference way at the beginning. When I didn't remember the episode well enough to get the reference, and
No,
so
you didn't.
I was like, oh my god, and it worked in. But what's very strange about that is that the movie series in Insidious, I was trying to remember the name of it recently. I mean, for like literally like
And
as
keep
recently as
going,
today.
it's called The Way of the Warrior, isn't it?
I kept thinking, I'm going to look that up here in a minute. I'm going to look that up. I'm going around to looking that up. As soon as you said the word, it popped in my head. It's like, oh my god, wait a minute, is that it? And it's
Don't worry, Keith, I got you.
just a very strange coincidence. Also, there's something immediately at the end with Quark talking, kind of talking up with the developments. Actually, reminded me of something you guys were saying around the beginning. Just struck me as very like Seinfeld Costanza kind of thing, where it's just like, first is the Kardashians, then it's the Dominion, now the Klingons.
When does it stop?
Yeah.
What is the deal?
Yeah.
Fellas?
Now you got this, and then, yeah.
Are we a space station or are we on Upper West Side? I don't know what we're doing here.
Okay, well then let's get to the rankings. Let's do the ranking this for the season so far. I'm nominating it as the best episode of the season thus far.
I say worst.
Of course you do.
Average.
Yep. Every time. We go through this every time. Who is your shady character?
This is more of like I guess the series arc, but Garrick, because we still don't know what that dude's up to. I mean, we're learning more and more, but to me, like I thought everyone else was very obviously the Klingons are very. This is what I think. I have no subtext. So I landed on Garrick.
As much as I think Garrick is more upfront in this episode than he is at other times, I also chose Garrick. It's kind of hard not to choose him.
Yeah.
Keith?
I would have said Martok actually, just because the early conversations, and eventually they get there. Once the cat's out of the bag, they can't really help it. It's like, all right, well, now we're all in, and this is why we're doing it. But they had to be kind of dragged into telling the truth for it.
At least without the benefit of that novelized backstory, I gotta give this to Drex. Although I will say honorable mention always for Gowron, because, dude, he is without honor.
He is.
Well, yeah, because he's like, we will not destroy each other. And he's like, however, we will still maintain colonies of Cardassia. 10 minutes later, it's like, what?
He's just such a chump, man.
That ending of like, they've taken over outposts, so Klingons are here to stay.
Yeah.
So are we.
Yeah.
Yep, of course Klingons are here to stay for the series. Which I think excited fans because we took it as, oh, we're going to have Klingons now. This is great.
For me, I mean, if they're all like this, then I'll be fine.
Too bad Lur Symbiator don't come because they got they got blown up. But they already had their episode.
Yeah.
Who was your
Maybe there'll be
annoyance?
more Klingon women.
I can't think of any off the top of my head now, but
We're on Discovery.
Grilk hasn't happened
That's
yet.
a
I
while.
feel like we already had Grilk.
You did House of Quark, but she'll be back in season 6.
You're right, she will. I forgot about that.
All right.
Okay, who was your annoying character?
Any Klingon not named Worf or Gowron.
Not Gowron?
Everybody else. No, I love Gowron. I'm always there for him. Yeah, he does not annoy me.
I mean, I went with Drex.
Yeah, that's a good
There
individual
wasn't.
choice.
I definitely thought there weren't a lot of options for annoying in here, and Drex's role was so small I didn't want to choose him, but nobody else was annoying, so.
Drex definitely just the.
Yeah, had it not been for the novel, I wouldn't know what his name was, honestly.
Yeah, I guess we'll give Gowron shady, and I'll switch Drex over to annoying here.
Okay. We can do that. And who are you having a drink with in The Way of the Warrior?
You know, in light of what we found out about
Oh, I put inspiring instead of drink. Oops.
what we found out about the actor that played Drex, I was also thinking of. I was like, oh, maybe I should have. But no, it's Yates. Yeah.
Of course, Kassidy.
I also think we talked about all the foreplay with those two, and it felt like that way. And I felt like those shots were shot differently, and I feel like and it's just because Penny Johnson's just so pretty and attractive. Pretty. I'm using words like a fifth grader now. She's so beautiful that it's like. Are they shooting her through a different lens that makes her just even more attractive? Like I feel like everyone's like Ducat's always like in a really stiff position, like, and there's very little around him, and like, why is that your camera? You should have better tech people. Whereas hers were like, I'm right here and I look great, and how's it going? And
You can hear the harp playing in the background.
No, we did see like the back of a Cardassian behind Ducat doing stuff, which is
finally,
unusual because normally it's just him in the office.
I know.
Just a sign of how busy it was.
Yeah. But
So I had accidentally written down inspiring. I thought we were doing Voyager for some reason.
Well, she was inspiring too.
And so I had Worf as my inspiring, but I don't want to choose Worf as my drink. I think I'm going to have a drink with Derek and Quark because that scene of them having a drink was just the best.
Because you'd rather have root beer than prune juice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially add a little vanilla or whipped cream vodka. Can't decide which one I liked better. Keith?
I'm not sure if I had that in my head or not, but I mean, it's just that's too good an argument, and I can't really pass it up. It's the Garrick and Quark.
Garrick and Quark, yeah.
No, it's like a drink scene.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I can have both of them, then it's a no-brainer. But I think if you gave me a whole season on this podcast, I'd be very interested to see if Quark didn't have the majority of my votes here, because he's just so fun.
Well, you can come back every week. That's up to you. You're always invited. Next week, Star Trek Voyager Twisted, which we already watched.
Okay, that's why I was
Remember,
wait a minute, didn't we?
we did that out of order.
That's a strange one.
A strange spatial distortion afflicts the ship as the entire crew literally lost on their own ship. Why does the IMDb synopsis have ship twice in the sentence come up with another vessel? Not ship. IMDb, man.
Wessel.
Nuclear vessel.
Yes.
Anyway, that's what we got coming up next week. Until then, live long.
In the way of the warrior, and prosper.
Or the cowboy way,
It's All Been Done presents
Who's got the time?